Should be ready.
Are we ready to go, Dan?
You're all set. You're live there now, Warden.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to open Victoria County Council session for today, January 23rd. And we would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held in Unama'ki, one of 7 districts of the Mi'kmaq, and the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. So with that acknowledgement, thank you. The agenda has been circulated to you. The agenda has one small change. We are not having an in-camera session at the end of council today. So that is one noted change. Are there any other additions or deletions to the agenda before we start this afternoon?
I move that we accept the agenda with that change.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Do we have a seconder, please?
I'll second that.
That was seconded by the Deputy Warden. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion's carried. So this afternoon, we're very pleased to have our MP join us this afternoon. Welcome, Jaime Batiste. We're very pleased that you have some time to meet with us. Our councillors have a number of concerns from their specific areas, which we will turn to them to have that conversation with you. So I didn't know if you have any opening comments before we turn it over to council, or do you just want to go directly to the council discussion?
Well, I think everyone's heard me before and everyone has met me. And so I think for the best usage of time, I want to hear your concerns. I'm heading back to Ottawa this week. We're going to be having our Atlantic caucus and our national caucus. And this check-in is just to get a sense from Victoria County, what you're hearing, what we need to focus on the upcoming months. We had a rough fall with the Hurricane Fiona and a number of things that we're still recovering from, which, kind of it made things worse that we already had labor shortages, but now we have labor shortages to deal with the hurricane that was felt not only by Cape Breton, but all the Atlantic in all of the different provinces that we have damage. And, there's an outlying concern that we're now vulnerable in Cape Breton for things like this to happen. We saw this at the Cabot Trail last year with the washing away of roads, and this is the second year in a row that Cape Breton had to come to the Minister of Emergency Management and say, listen, we've got some emergencies here that we need you to fix. And part of this discussion moving forward is going to be about climate change, about how we reach our net zero targets, but also how we create more resilient infrastructure and what do we do moving forward. I think that we're all happy to see a little bit of snow over the past few days. It's not like when I was a kid, when you get skates for Christmas and you'd be on the pond the next day. It's February and I'm looking out there and it's nothing. It's almost February. It's nothing but water. And so this is the new reality that we're living in. We have to prepare for that reality, but we also have to take a look and listen to what people are talking to us about affordability and inflation. And the conflict in Ukraine still weighs heavily in Canada in terms of what we have to do globally, but also we're looking at the supply chains demands from COVID, and we're probably in for a tough year in terms of making life affordable for your average Canadian. But because of the minerals that we have in Canada and where we're placed globally in terms of bouncing back, we are assuming that while 2023 might be another tough year, that we're looking good in 2024 and 2025 for growth and for making the investments in our communities that we need. And so I'll turn it over to you with that, and just really want to hear your concerns and some of the things that I need to take back to my caucus and my in cabinet.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate your time. And I just want to mention too as well that certainly you and Sean have always been available and accessible to us. So I want to again thank you very much for providing some time. And I think what we will do is we'll work our way up and down Victoria County, and we'll start with District Number 1 at Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Warden, and thank you, Jaime, for meeting with us today and hearing some concerns about every district throughout the county. to begin with, and thank you for all the meetings you have had in the District 2 over the past few years and helping out in District 1. I want to say every time we asked you to meet with any organization, you were available. So thanks for that. There are some concerns in the district and throughout the county. Number one concern I find is cell phone coverage throughout the county. And I'm wondering if there is any funding available specifically for cell phone upgrade from the federal government. And if so, what is the criteria and how should the municipality apply for this?
Did you want me to answer questions right away, Bruce, or do you want me to take 2 or 3 people and then just go? I don't know if that was all.
I think we'll do them individually, if that's okay with you, Jaime, and then that way we won't be asking any repeat questions either. So as the first 2 or 3 go, then.
Basically, I have about 3 questions here. I don't know if you want to go through everybody once, or I'm not sure. So,
But if you can make them short and quick, and
Okay.
yeah, we'll go with all 3.
okay. The second question, Jaime, is about the status of the railway. I hear there might be some changes happening with the railway throughout Cape Breton. Have you heard anything about this and maybe possible ownership, like new ownership and possible upgrades to the railway? And the third question is the Category B lobster license holders. I know there's a couple of fishermen in this area that's under this category, and basically the policy now is they can't transfer their license over to their family members. I wonder if that policy is looking at being changed. So.
Okay. So in terms of cell phone coverage, what I've been told is that within the next 3 to 4 years that we'll have that 99% of my riding will be covered. That's and so Minister Goody Hutchins, Minister of Rural Affairs, has been championing this on behalf of our government, and we've had a number of conversations with her. I don't know if it's an actual call out. I've never seen an application out there that says, well, we need this call. And I think that the plan is to, look at all of the areas of need in rural areas in the Atlantic. And there is the prioritization of that. Sean, I know you were digging a little bit on this. Do you have anything extra to add on cell phone before I get to the railway and Category B like lobsters?
No, Counselor, I can send you a little bit of information about the broadband fund, but I'm sure everybody is very familiar with it for now. But that's our main program, of course.
No, I'm familiar with the broadband, but lately there's a lot of complaints about the cell phone coverage throughout the county, and it is with the amount of storms that's happening. It is very important for people to have that cell phone coverage throughout the area. So yeah.
As for the railway, I know that myself and Mike Kellaway were talking to Newfoundland Caucus about the importance of the railway, and I know that it's an important priority for them, because if we were to get the railway back to where the ferry is, they'd be able to get the goods quicker. Of course, their big thing is they want the link between up in Labrador, and so they're really pushing for that as their priority number one. One of the things that we're continuing to talk to government and transport minister about is the port in Sydney. And I think there's been some positive movement with that, with member 2 becoming a partner in that. There is a certain fund out there, $1 billion in terms of infrastructure partnerships with Indigenous communities, that I know that member 2 and the port are looking at. They didn't apply for it in 2022, but I do understand that they're going to move forward on 2023. I think that's the perfect fit in terms of the avenues I can see where this becomes a reality. That's probably the biggest opportunity there, and I know that they're looking at pursuing it because there's only really maybe a handful to a dozen communities that are able to access these large Indigenous programming. Sorry, one of the MPs were just calling me there, but there's not that many communities that really have the capacity to access these kinds of multi-million-dollar deals, Membertou being one of the exceptions to that. And I think that they're well positioned to apply to the infrastructure bank on the Indigenous partnerships aspect to get this over the line. So that's as far as I know where they're at on that. I had arranged a meeting between the minister and the group to discuss what are the possibilities and what they need to do. And I think the meeting went well. As for category B lobster, I'll have to look into that. I've heard no movement in terms of it. You know, people understand that people want to have these valuable, very lucrative lobster license and pass them on to families. But at the same time, we're also balancing that with people who want to get involved in the fishery. And what do we do with the people who want to get involved in the fishery when they're told there's nothing there? Because as a government, if we allow people to pass down what is theirs to their children, so there's a balance there. But I definitely can have a conversation with the Minister Murray or Mike Kellaway, who's the PS for fisheries, to see what is this a priority for them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem, Paul.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. We're going to move on to district number 2. Councillor McLeod, please.
Thank you, Warren. Hi, Jamie, and hi, Sean. Paul, Councillor McNeil, check about the internet. I'm just letting you know the internet and cell phone coverage is still in my district an issue. I know it's in all the county, just to let you know. I'm just asking for the healthcare. I know the country is in crisis. It's not only Nova Scotia. I think it's all the country, and I think it's a federal now. We need the help for you guys, as the province is doing what he can. But I think if you can take it to the House and talk about it, because really we are in serious trouble about that. And I was thinking about the funding. The CBU was asking, is there any funding for them? Are you looking something for them for about the seats in for medical?
Okay.
And okay, that's one. And the second is, of course, the housing. If any funding to really affordable housing for the residents in Victoria County. That is, healthcare and housing go to hand by hand. So any plans, anything the federals they're thinking about?
Okay, so I'll jump into healthcare. I know that it's one of these things that people are talking to me. In fact, I was at a Tim Hortons in Howie Center, and I pulled up there, and the woman looked at me and said, "You guys better fix that healthcare system." And I laughed and I said, "I'm trying, but this is provincial jurisdiction, right?" And then she said, "I don't care whose jurisdiction is, just fix it." And so I know that it's being talked about everywhere. I'll give you an update on where we're going to get an update on this on this weekend. Cabinet's discussing it right now. For the last year, provinces have wanted more money for healthcare, and they've asked us to come to the table and start talking about it, but they've refused to have any conditions that we're willing to put on, because we don't want to give them money and not have the outcomes change. We want to make sure that the money is utilized to make a difference. We want to see a metric of whether it's reducing wait times, whether it's creating more doctors. Give us what we told them to do is give us how you're going to use this and how this is going to improve the healthcare system in Canada. And then we'll talk to you about that. And for a year, the provinces wanted no strings attached money. And so now finally, they're kind of realizing that we are not going to give them more money unless it's attached to health outcomes, whatever they need to do. And we just saw the announcement by the Premier. And I'm really happy to see that they're exploring all options. I can say that I'm one of the few MPs in Canada who has published ideas around how to fix the healthcare systems. You guys have seen my pieces on physician's assistants. I've been saying that it's underutilized in Canada in general, but very underutilized in the Atlantic. if in comparison, we have 260 universities in the United States that graduates physician's assistants. Physician's assistants can handle about 65% of the load a physician can, and it takes 1/3 of the time and at 1/3 of the cost. I've been really putting pressure on the Minister of Health, putting the pressure on my government as well as the provincial government to utilize physician's assistants in Nova Scotia. In the most recent provincial rollout of what are all of the different things that they're going to do to fix the healthcare system, they said, we're going to increase the amount of physician assistants. But unfortunately, where do they get them? Because we don't have a single physician's assistant university program in Canada. And I think that's one of the things that we need to start looking at federally, because we can't really tell the provincial government what to do in their healthcare systems, and we wouldn't want to. If you saw the backlash from last week, everything that the premier announced, there's always one group of doctors or one group of saying, well, you're not fixing the problem really. And so there's a larger discussion that needs to take place. But what is without question a need moving forward is more spaces, because we're not just going through a Canadian healthcare crisis, we're going through a global healthcare crisis after a pandemic that has seen burnout of doctors, burnout of nurses, and the health field just being under such stress that there's not a lot of going to other countries and taking doctors away from them, because everyone's in this position of needing more. What we have to do is grow them from home. And so this isn't a situation that we're going to be able to fix within the next year. Let's just be honest with that. We have to graduate nurses. We have to graduate more doctors. We have to graduate more physician's assistant program. And what I'm pushing for is more health, more infrastructure fundings for universities like Cape Breton universities to have physician programs, to have medical schools, because we need to treat this like an emergency. We need to treat this like this is a problem that's going to get worse if we don't do more. And I'm proud to be one of the MPs out there most vocal on healthcare with solutions and looking at the problem and actually meeting with the folks, the universities, meeting with the physician's assistant program. You might have seen that I got an award from Canadian Assistance for Physician's Assistant for my advocacy this year on that. And so it's something that I think that we're only starting to scratch the surface of what we needed to do a year ago, but better late than never. But it's going to be a problem for the next 2 to 3 years. But we hear federally that there is movement on a deal with the provincial government. We're going to hear what the structuring of that, how close we are this weekend. But every indication, it seems, from many provinces, provincial premiers, and our Minister of Health is that we've gotten a lot closer.
Okay, no, thank you. It's nice to hear that, and about things we know. So it's the communication is important. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And just the housing. You hear me?
Call me Jaime.
Jaime, I know.
Jaime.
See,
no one else can pronounce it. You can.
Okay, Jaime. And it's just the housing, of course. About it's a crisis. We have it, but thank you for the information, Jaime.
Oh, and the housing, I don't have a major update on the housing. We're still looking at what we've had a big housing plan in the last budget. A lot of it's around rapid housing initiative. I know that there were some areas in Victoria. Well, Ahmed Cook was very successful with their housing bid. We're looking to get more this year, but it's always up for bid and with CMHC. And unfortunately, the MPs don't have a lot of say in where these dollars go.
Okay, no, thank you so much. Gracias.
Thank you, Councillor MacLeod. We're going to move to District number 4 and Councillor Barb Longa, please.
Hi, Jaime. Thanks for coming to talk with us. And I must say you speak very well. The same as Councillor MacLeod and Councillor McNeil, I have the same concerns with the cell coverage, and it became very apparent during Fiona when the landlines were out, the power was out, there was no internet service, there was no phone service, and people don't have cell service from the South Haven area all the way from Monroe's Point around the harbor to the North Shore. And so all the people in that area, and it was extremely windy, dangerous to drive. So even for them to get out and go for help was a danger, really. So it's it just, with all this extreme weather, it's more and more important for us, no matter what the cost is, because I keep hearing about the cost of putting in a new tower. And I think we can't really put a price on people's lives, because it is endangering them by not having that service. And also housing, as Councillor McLeod said, is very important, as we don't have people to work in at jobs here because there's no place for them to live. And recently someone contacted me about a family from Ukraine who has a job in the Bedeque area, and they're looking for accommodation. So, and there's just such a big lack of it. But what I wanted to talk about today was the child poverty and senior poverty. And in 2018, there was a study done that to be under the poverty line, you should be making $41,000 a year, family of 4. And then during COVID, the government figured that we need $2,000 per person per month to just survive. But that's not what's happening. You know, now that COVID's over and people aren't getting that, that's not what seniors are getting. That's not what families are getting. There's just like, and the costs have gone up immensely over, like, after COVID. When you go to the grocery store, you know, I had 4 children. I can't imagine trying to feed them today. Like, they're all grown up and it's only me. And I go into the grocery store and it's like, I can't imagine what families are going through, and seniors, with trying to afford the cost of everything nowadays. So I wonder if there's a plan by the federal government to help us out, help them out.
Okay. I think you make a great point about the cell coverage. And I think that's the exact point that I'm going to raise with my colleagues around the emergencies that we're going through, and the cell coverage as a human right, you know, just to be informed on the storms that are coming, but also with the alerts that we have out there. Now we've learned from ever since the Nova Scotia mass shooting that these alerts are an important part of keeping our neighborhood safe. And I think I'm going to make that point and tie the cell coverage to, you know, there's areas that didn't have any kind of relief or nowhere to go to their warming shelters, and because we were doing it through the cell service and we're doing it through all of these things, and they didn't have that ability. And so you're right on that, and I thank you for that point, because I think it's something that I'm going to take back to my caucus and say this is an important thing moving forward. In terms of the child poverty and senior poverty, in terms of poverty in general, we saw that as something that was going to happen in 2022 and 2023, and that's why we doubled the GST for those who need it the most for the next 6 months. We want to make sure that they do have that. And while inflation has brought up the price of the grocery stores over the last 6 months, the inflation rate is going back down. It's gone down every month since that, and so we're hoping that when we get to the summer, it'll alleviate some of the things. I mean, if anyone's out there who wants to buy a car, you go onto the lot, there's nothing there, right? Just because of the lack of supply, the demand has gone up and the prices have gone up associating with that. And we're trying to figure out, we've had some conversations initially with grocery stores about pausing the freezing of the costs. And we're really taking a look at making sure that it doesn't get any worse. Meanwhile, what we've done is we're making sure that we're giving people increased, we've done what we could to increase the GST for those that need us over the next 6 months, but also making sure that we have programs that are designed like the rental benefit for those who are, you know, struggling with their rent over this next one. It's really what we're looking at is trying to help those who need it the most as part of that. And we know that, you know, the child care, the Canadian child benefit, which is something that we do for families, is making an impact. We've raised it significantly over the past 7 years to make sure that families are making sure that they're the people who are getting a lot of help. And these are the programs that we continue to move forward on. But we assume that with the next 6 months of supports, we're going to see where we're at in terms of helping those people. but also ensuring that we're doing everything we can to make sure that these costs aren't inflated.
Thank you.
Anything else, Barb, or is that's
Oh, I could go on and on, but I'll give someone else a turn.
okay? Thanks, appreciate it. Good question. We're going to move on to district number 5, and Councillor Patterson, please.
Thank you, Warden. First of all, Jaime and your family, and Sean and your family, and the rest of the staff, I'd like to wish you a happy new year. We need some optimism, so hopefully we'll have a kind of a clearing away of things and have a better year this year. Cell service, healthcare, all the items that have been mentioned, but those of you who may remember a TV show, Monty Python's Flying Circus, they always started with, and now for something completely different. Well, I am going to congratulate your government on providing the New Horizons for Seniors program, which we have used, I guess, in Bullitree for the last 3 or 4 years to sponsor cooking classes and lunch and learn. Yesterday, we had 25 people who came out for the afternoon, and people are not visiting anymore like they used to, so it's a very social event. And I always say, if you want to attract people, feed them. So we cook the food and have a meal and everything, and it's worked out wonderful. And Jaime, just I'll extend you, it's usually on a Sunday. We have a couple a month on Sundays. If you're around, and get Sean to contact me for a date, then you're certainly invited to come and have a meal with us. So anyway, I'm trying to make a New Year's resolution to be a little positive now and then, and I guess this is my way of doing it today. And I was thinking, like, the other issues are important, but I think we also have to look at the things that are working and working well. And we have testimonials from seniors who come to these events that a lot of them are living alone, and it's the only chance they get out to socialize, like I said. So anyway, if you could pass that on. And then the program officers that we have assigned from the New Horizons have been excellent. Anytime we needed any information, they're easy to contact. They're doing a great job. So if you could pass that on, Jaime, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Fraser. That is something completely different. I always appreciate hearing the good things that we're doing out there, and applaud your positivity moving into 2023. God knows we need it after 2022 and actually 2021 and 2020. We're going through some hard times as a planet, and in Cape Breton we had some hard times over the past few months, and we've got some hard times coming because all of the things that we need to fix, we already had labor shortages, and so where do we get the people? And when we're looking at all of the places that were damaged by this storm of the century, it's all the way from Quebec to Newfoundland to PEI and Cape Breton. So where do we draw all of these people from that need to fix the roofs, need to fix all of the tree cutting that needs to be down? I mean, I look around my neighborhood, there's 8 trees still just knocked down and doing nothing, just laying there. But these are things that we need to figure out how to do. And I'm really happy to hear about what's going on in the New Horizons Senior Center. You talk to Sean, and maybe we can figure out a visit sometime to get out there and socialize.
Thank you, Councillor Patterson, and thank you for something totally different. We appreciate that. We're going to move now to the Deputy Warden in District number 6, please.
Thank you, Warden. Just make sure I'm not muted there. No, we're good. Hi, Sean. Thanks very much for coming to council. Greatly appreciate it. And I want to start by saying thank you for Sean was able to forward some information from your office in regards to the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund. Of course, you're quite aware. You visit us here in Ingonish at the natural barrier here that goes into the harbor. And it's sustained major damage again over the last couple of storms, so it's getting quite critical. But we did pass the information on to the province, because since they are the owners of the land. And but again, I want to say thank you for passing that information on. It's now in the hands of our MLA, and he's going to be pushing it with the provincial government to hopefully make an application, and maybe we can see some positive results out of that. But again, thank you. I guess the biggest thing in the Ingonish area that I want to talk about is infrastructure. For a number of years now, we've been applying to the federal government, provincial governments for infrastructure to extend the water line in Ingonish and also for septic in Ingonish, especially with the creation of Destination Smoky and the $500 million investment that is going on in that area. It's critical to them. It's critical to us as a county that this infrastructure get put in. It's very hard for them to make plans and do construction and develop things when they don't have an adequate supply of water and no access to septic. So I think if we can get together on this one and put some pressure on the province with the feds from the federal government, but it's definitely a priority for our area here. We need to get something moving, and we need to have our applications approved. Going on with infrastructure, I guess the other big one from the municipality is trails. That's one of our main priorities here. And I'm talking about Skidoo trails, ATV trails, hiking trails, cross country, just the trail system in general. It's probably one of the biggest possibilities of with some great economic spin-offs here at Victoria County and Inverness County. We're one of the few areas in the province that has the snow in the winter, and I had the opportunity to be up there on Sunday, and I was amazed with the number of people, even with the lack of snow in the lowlands. There's a lot of snow still in the highlands. But you see the potential up there of the money that this could bring into the different communities. It's huge. And probably the biggest thing that we can do as a government is get this into place. We were refused our latest application. Yes, it was a big one, 2.9 million. It was refused, but we were able to get 180,000 for one little piece of a trail. So we're making progress, but we need the whole thing done. This piecemeal work of making the trails come together is going to take 20, 30 years. We could do this, make this investment now, and I think the spin-offs would pay for itself within a couple of years quite easily. But again, we'll talk about trails. Another big issue here in the area is Parks Canada, and we lost 2 washroom facilities at Ingonish Beach, and I'm sure you're quite aware of it. Parks Canada, the last time I spoke to them, they did go out to tender, and afraid that the tenders came back just out of this world, what they were expecting to build this small washroom facility. So it was high. And I know why they're holding off on it, but it's still critical to our visitors in our tourism sector here in the summer that we get these washrooms rebuilt, and at least one of them with accessible washrooms. So if you do get a chance to talk to Parks Canada, maybe you can just follow up with them, see what their plan is. We've waited a couple of years for this washroom, but I think we've come to a point that we need to make some movement on it and get that washroom back in place. And I guess the only other thing I wanted to bring up is I know you've been in contact with Victoria Co-op Fisheries and the port associations here in north of Smoky. But as you're quite aware, there was a huge amount of damage at Victoria Co-op Fisheries and the wharfs in the area. And I know you're working towards getting some funding and stuff, but I just hope you can speed up that funding. The season is coming up very quick. And if there's anything you can do to speed up that funding, it would be greatly appreciated. And I think that's it for me for today. I could go on and on, but great to hear the other ones that talked about especially the cell phone and the healthcare. It's great, but I'll leave you with those comments for now. Thank you, Javi.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Larry. And yeah, I was really glad to see our government put out a call for a disaster fund capacity and infrastructure so that we can look at some of these areas of that's been needed. And you've been good to take us to some of these areas. And I hope that, get in touch with my office. And when you guys get your ask moving forward, I'll get a letter of support that makes sure that we support that. I'm always concerned when I think about your area, Larry, because so much of the tourism that we need to bring here people to Cape Breton for that requires snow, requires winter weather. And I look around and see rain every weekend, and not just small rain, large portions of rain that mix with the snow just create ice. And I'm wondering how our trails that I know we've invested in Nordic, I know we've invested in Cape Smoky, and I was just thinking about it because I was in northern New Brunswick where they've got tons of snow. And I'm like, how do we compete with these areas that, for Skidoo trails and things like that, when our areas aren't, we're not getting the weather that we need to cooperate with that. And I hope you could tell me a little bit about that and what's going on. In terms of the accessible washroom, for sure, let's get on that. Sean, I didn't know that they didn't have the washroom rebuilt yet. Let's figure out what kind of pressure we can put on Parks Canada to see what we can do to get that fixed.
Absolutely.
That's one of the bigger things. And yeah, I'm just curious, Larry, what are you hearing from the trails and from the Cape Smoky? If this is the kind of winter that we're going to expect in the years to come, because I'm hearing not so great updates from folks in Environment Canada that this is the norm, not the rare exception. Now, what is that going to mean for our economy that's based on the snow trails, based on the skidoos, based on the ski trails, especially when we're competing with places like northern New Brunswick that have had snow. I have one of my good friends there who lives in Eel River Bar, and he sends me snap. He's been on his skidoo since December, and just looking at him and his child and saying, what is this going to mean to the future of our economy that's based on large amounts of snow that we don't get anymore? So if we could have a discussion on that sometime, and you can tell me what's going on, but if you could just give me a sense of what is it like up there nowadays, and what's the forecast for this winter in terms of actually making a profit based on these trails.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jaime. And you're right. The climate has been changing, but I think there's critical stuff. Once you get up in the Highlands, I was up on Sunday and skidooed all day Sunday with my grandson. And there's, we always use more snow, but there was a good bit of snow up there. So it was skidooing is taking place. I've been skidooing since probably in December, a couple of days, but you're right. There's some days that we've been getting the rain. That's been held off. We could be doing better. So I think still north of Smoking in the Highlands, I think we're still seeing the snow. I don't think it's as critical as it is in other places. With Cape Smoky, they've started to install snowmaking. They ran into major problems with their supplier this year, which kind of held them back. I know they're a couple of months behind where they like to be on snowmaking. But if they had the full system right to the top of the mountain, as you see, even with all this rain, they're still open with just the bottom part of the hill. But if they had the snowmaking fully operational on the whole hill, they'd be open totally right now. So snowmaking will work even in these conditions. North Highlands, I know they've been struggling also with snow, but we are starting to get some snow down here now. It's been a few weeks later than the previous years. But again, snowmaking could work down there. Again, you're talking with big money, and I don't think that's something they're looking for at this point. But they still get more snow than most cases. Like even today, when I look out the window here, it's still snowing here in Ingonish, and I know it's raining every results right now. So north of here, we're still getting snow. So I still think we're in the market. I still think we can do it. I still think we can compete. But again, it's infrastructure. It comes down to putting that infrastructure in place.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much, Deputy Warden. And we're going to move on to Councillor Jackie Organ, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Batiste, for coming to our council session today. Like the other councillors before me, everything that they've said is concern of District 7. One of our major concerns, as you know, that we were the hardest hit in the last few storms in District 7 with coastal erosion, roads washing out, people losing their homes. So I was wondering, what is the provincial or federal or decree on coastal erosion? We need major rock put around our coastline. That's one of my concerns. Healthcare, like I said before, that's a major concern in my area. We have an aging population here that we're not getting any younger. Not too many young people are staying because of the infrastructure. We need jobs. Like I said, we need housing for these people. So it's a vicious cycle. And I think that's the way it is in most rural places in Nova Scotia and Canada. But so another one was, I was at a fire department meeting last week, and as we're all aging in that too, but our BA system, as you know, when there's an emergency, most people are running from it and the firefighters are running to it. Our BA system is getting quite old, so we're looking into replacing it over the next few years. And
can you tell me what BA means?
It's a breathing apparatus. They put the air tanks on their back and the shield over their faces. To replace 4 breathing apparatuses, which we would like to replace 6, is $50,681.25. So how can small rural fire departments keep up with safety equipment when they're trying? Our insurance for the fire department for just their trucks and buildings went up to over $10,000 this year. So it's hard to fundraise and to keep our community safe. Thanks.
Okay. Well, as a as I talked to Larry, we did just put out a program around making our areas more resilient and for the disaster that has gone forward. And I was really happy to get Minister Bill Blair on the phone several times during Fiona and during some of these disasters that have washed away places in the Cabot Trail, because we know we need to do more on that. We fund 90% of the overall design of the disaster finance program actually is designed and developed by the provincial government, but we pick up the 90% of the bill after they spend a certain amount. So it should, as fast as the province can design and spend, we do our best to compensate them for what they do on that. And so that's an important thing that we're moving forward to. And I totally hear you. We have a rural caucus as part of the Liberal government, and we're always talking about what the catch-22 around housing, labor shortages, and immigration. It's like if we have the immigrants labor force coming, where are we going to put them? And if we had more houses to put them, more places to put them, we'd be filling the job shortages. But because we require the housing to be there first to handle this labor shortage, it's almost like a catch-22. What do you put money for first in terms of bringing in the foreign workers, having the housing, having to fulfill the labor shortages in the area? And it's just one of the things with this part of Cape Breton going through a growth phase that we haven't seen in, I would argue, 30 years. There hasn't been this kind of growth in the rural Cape Breton areas that we're seeing now. A lot of that's based on people realizing that they don't have to live in Toronto or Halifax or Montreal to be part of the economy. We can do it through Zoom, but it's also because we've got some growth there for the first time ever, and it's nice to see. But then it creates that problem of where do we get the labor from? How do we get the transport to bring people in? And if they're immigrating here, where are they going to stay? And these are all things that we're trying our best to figure out how we resolve. There's no magic formula for it. It says that but we've been doing our best to try to get more housing for rural. One of the best programs that we've created is the Rapid Housing Initiative, that we take current buildings and make whatever they're old schools or abandoned factories, and we turn them into places where people can live. And we do it rapidly. And when we talk about rapid for federal government, it's probably not quite as rapid as it is for provincial or municipal governments. Our programs generally take months, if not years, to create and then flow out the money. COVID being the exception of that, because government stopped and said, we can't continue until we create these programs. And so we had programs that we created on the fly in over a few weeks. But generally speaking, I've noticed that federal government programming takes a while. But even when we say rapid housing or rapid things, it's a problem that takes sometimes months to years to go through. But as for the breathing apparatus, I have to say I don't know whose jurisdiction that is off the top of my head. I'm going to have to poke around a bit. I have one of my friends in the MPs from the Liberal MP, Sherry Romanato, works closely with firefighters on a private members bill about the equipment, and that's something that we passed with all party support recently. So it gives me kind of a sense that it could be something we could do federally, but off the top of my head, I don't know if that's something that we do a lot of terms of that equipment, fire equipment. Sean, you might have more experience from your provincial days. Can you?
Yeah, I'm thinking mostly the emergency services provider fund through the province. Fairly certain that specifically mentions like the breathing apparatuses, and I think it's up to about 20 grand maybe. I think it's the last time I hit where that was. Councillor, so I'm sure the MLA could provide more information on it, but that's specifically for that use. That's the one I'm thinking of.
Okay, I will check with that.
Yeah, well, but thanks for that, Jackie, and I'll bring it up. If there's anything we can do federally, I'll talk to some folks. But I think that when things are provincial jurisdiction, it's a lot of times people say let the province take care of it.
I understand. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jackie. We're going to go up to District number 8, and Councillor Norman McDonald, please.
Yes, thank you, Warden Morrison, and welcome, Ivy and Sean. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you to your government for the investments that you have provided for North Highland, Nordic Care, and Cape North, and the Bay St. Lawrence Community Center. Both facilities are very well utilized up here in District 8, and thank you for that. And also like to thank Sean for all his work. We have a considerable higher amount of EI claims in the area that people are struggling through Service Canada, waiting for their claims to be approved, and that. And I like to think I have Sean on speed dial, because I recommend him to every constituent that has the issues with EI. And I want to thank him for his work that he is doing and continues to do on our behalf up here. I just have a few questions in regard to some of the constituents I've asked. Maybe you could just clarify. Or one is with the roadways through the Cabot Trail. There's one through Inganisha and one through Cape North. There's 2 sections of highways that are completed for the Cabot Trail. And when I go to the provincial counterparts, they tell me in general, they say that there is a specific pot of money that comes from the federal government, which is used to assist in this paving projects. And those 2 projects were on the 5-year provincial plan, but I just checked it the other day and I did not see it. Could you clarify if there is any federal monies that are attributed to those projects through the paving?
Sean, I know that you did a little bit of work on this. You want to tell Councillor Norman what?
Sure. So yes, Councillor, in the past there has been, if you remember the announcement back 2017, I think, around Smoky Mountain, some of the funding there are partnerships that are available at times when the province wants to partner on them. That was small communities. I do believe that was a 2014 program. So as far as the 5-year plan goes, can't say what's on it now. Not exactly sure where they fall, but we'll certainly be happy to look into it for you. But as far as in the past, yes, there are partnerships that the province can apply to the feds for money. Whether there's one currently in there now for that project, I can't say for sure, but I will look into it for you and get back to you.
Because I appreciate that, because Destination Cape Breton, and its title is the most famous Cabot Trail in the world, and those 2 sections of roadway north of Smoky have to be the worst, I'd say, in Cape Breton Island. Another thing that I have is just with regard to, I have people that call and have asked, I think it was back in the early 80s per se, that there was a northern tax allowance that was attributed to residents north of Smoky. And I have many people that are inquiring, asking why that was taken away, or what is the criteria for them or for the federal government to put that back in place, because many people feel that services to an extent in this area are going backwards instead of forward. Most of them are provincial, being like healthcare. Sometimes our ERs are closed, or ambulances are never in the area. Roadways, they're taking plowing equipment away from us. Is that something that's throughout Nova Scotia? I think Sable Island is the only place that has the northern tax allowances. If that's correct?
Yes, they're in the Zone B. We have no Zone A's. I think Labrador is the only place, and I think that's Zone A. Anyway, as far as the Maritimes go, there are none except for Sable Island.
So just to clarify, there are none in the Maritimes?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Sable Island.
And Sable Island, where the horses are at.
Yes,
Correct.
that is it. That is the only one. They're Zone B.
Correct. I think that's it. To reiterate what the other council said, cell phone service is a big thing up in Bay St. Lawrence area. Reaching out to Bell Line, Bell Cellular, and that's just, it's hard because, I have a lot of seniors up in that area that depend on cell service, because landlines are a thing in the past now. Healthcare is another big issue, and anything you can take back to Ottawa for the Premier and the Cabinet would be ever so grateful up here in District 8. Thank you both for your time.
Okay, I'm definitely hearing the common themes around cell phone and seeing what we can do about that. I will take that back and talk to the rural riding chair about that and seeing what we can get for more funding and how do we speed up this transition? Because 100% Barbara was right. It's a safety issue. It's something that it's just with the amount of communications done through storms, through emergencies. This is something that we need to make sure that we put money in our budget for moving forward. And I know that the infrastructure is important around these areas, especially resilient infrastructure that we can keep from, that we can keep from handling these storms that are more frequently, about rain rather than snow. So these are the things that we have to deal with. Is there anything else, Bruce, that you want to add that your counselors didn't get to?
No, they're just a couple of things, and they covered up most of the ones that are fairly generic to most of us, and questions I had. I have two kind of my district concerns, so to speak. One is just wondering about funding for storm damage. We've had extensive damage done to the boardwalk down along the waterfront and the deck, and down below the museum area, where we certainly need some repairs there. And if we are going to that expense about repairing them, it would be nice to have improvements that would enhance that particular area. So I'm just wondering if you've had any inquiries, updates, or any additional information on that particular project.
So in the entire disaster financing agency and authority, the province designs and develops and prioritizes, and then we pay the bill. So we give them the ability to do all of that and then submit the bill, and we pay 90% of it. And so knock on the door of Keith Bain and show them what you guys want fixed and say this is the priority that they have. And it wouldn't be a bad thing to reach out to the Minister of Finance, who's a Cape Bretoner as well, and say, here are some things that we need fixed in this area that we hope that will be a part of the funding that they design, because we're picking up the bill for it. There's no reason why they shouldn't spend. Where it's going to be, this disaster, the DFAA after Fiona is going to be the largest and most expensive storm in the history of Canada, but we're committed to funding it. We're committed to making sure that we get things back to normal and make it more resilient. And that's why our government is committed 90% of the funding.
Great, thanks. And I think there's an opportunity to improve what we had as well. So we look forward to working with you and the province on that. And I'd also like to ask a question too, if you've had any updates or meetings with anybody around the potentially proposed new community center for Southern Victoria County.
I met with them this morning, and I saw that a $2 million ask has gone and grown to be something quite substantial. I told them that the current programming under the Green Inclusive Community funding was around, per project, averaged about 4 million. And that's if there was that's the full project. Federal government is usually the last out of the three: municipal, provincial, then federal, in terms of getting involved in these large infrastructure projects. It's hard to go to back to our federal minister and say, here is what we need for infrastructure for a rink, when currently there's 270 million of unspent infrastructure dollars that hasn't been spent by the province. I've been told that that money has been spoken for, but it hasn't been spent. And it requires the province to match the dollars, sometimes 40%, sometimes 60%. And so they haven't spent that. So they're proud, but they've been told by our Minister of Finance, if they don't spend the money by March, that we'll be taking that money and we will reallocate where people will use it. I'm hoping that the province doesn't do that. I've been told that we're not going to send any money back to Ottawa, but I haven't been told where they're going to spend that money. But I've let them know that it's good to have these grand plans that the community wants, but also to be cognizant of where do we get that money from. And federally, we're usually the last one to come in. We're rarely the first one. I understand that the municipality has said that they go in for $1 million.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about a provincial commitment, but I'm hoping to hear something that there is a provincial commitment on this. But usually federally, we're the last ones to come in.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your comments on that. And also appreciate you meeting with us today. I will tell you quite frankly that if we weren't meeting virtually today, I wouldn't be able to meet with you. I'm like a lot of people in the community right now suffering from this not so pleasant cold that's going around. So I appreciate having the opportunity to have a conversation with you today. So I think unless the final comments to you, sir, I want to thank you very much again for meeting with us. I'm glad that we had a roundtable discussion. I just want to ask very quickly if there was any perhaps anything that anybody had that they just wanted to add to, just because we are going to sign off with you. I know your time is valuable, so we have two just quick ones, and I'm going to go to the deputy warden and then to Jackie just quickly if we could.
Thank you, Warden, and thanks, Jaime, again for visiting us. I just wanted to bring up when we talked about the trails and the the effect of snow on them and stuff. I think we missed the point that it's all terrains, all different types of vehicles. So it could be hiking trails, it could be ATVs, it could be cross-country skiing. It's not just winter. Our trails are all season. So just wanted to bring that point to the forefront. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. And Jackie, a quick last question to you, I believe.
Not a question. If I have any more concerns, can I send them off to you, Sean, in writing?
Absolutely. Not a problem.
Always, you can send them in writing. You can call our office. You can have a conversation with us at any time. Or if you need me on the line, I'm usually in Ottawa 26 weeks of the year, but if I'll still take calls from the House of Commons from time to time. And, if you need to get a hold of me, reach out to me and I'll be there. The only thing I do want to talk to you guys quickly about, I'm sure that you guys have seen a little bit about the electoral boundary proposed, where first they said they weren't going to change Sydney, Victoria, and then they redrew the map to have my riding just be Sydney and Glace Bay. I'm objecting to that. I don't think it was necessary. It wasn't required under the population changes. It was basically an idea that was brought to them during their consultation phase that they bought into. And so I'm going to fight it. I've been asked by a number of communities to do so. I know Wamacook isn't happy about it. I know CBRM isn't happy about it. And I know Eskasoni is definitely not happy about it. But I wanted to just give you guys an opportunity. On January 31st, I will be going in front of the committee, and questions they'll ask me is, well, do you have the support of have you reached out to your councillors and the mayors and the wardens in your riding for their support and their thoughts on it? I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but that's why I want to just give you guys 5 minutes just to kind of relay it, because basically what it would be doing is taking you and putting you into Mike Kellaway's riding, everything from Victoria County to Lewisburg, down to Guysborough, to Canso, to all the way to Antigonish, will all be under one riding, one large rural riding. And I don't see it necessary, and I don't see it justified by the population changes, but I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it because it would be a dramatic shift in the next election.
No, we appreciate that, Jaime, and I think that's something if you leave with us, and we'll have our discussion around it, and we'll certainly we'll get back to you with whatever the decision or thoughts of council are on it. But we do appreciate it does affect you for sure. Sorry, Councillor Patterson, do you have a quick comment? Sorry, Fraser.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. I just wanted to mention that, Jaime, thanks for bringing that up. I thought of it. If any of you have looked at the map, it is unbelievable, the size of that riding from Bay St. Lawrence to Antigonish. It's just, I know there's big ridings in the Northwest Territories, but I think that's getting close to being one of the biggest in the country, as opposed to basically Sydney Glace Bay, which is like a 15-minute drive to go across the whole riding. So it really, really doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree, and say just allow us to have our discussion on it, and we'll forward something. I'm sure.
Okay.
Anything else? Anything else? We're good. Okay. Well, I want to thank you and Sean for your time this afternoon, and thank you very much for representing us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having us.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank
We're going to
you.
move on to. Sorry. We're going to move on we're just going to move on to our next item on council on the agenda this afternoon. And just looking out the window here in Bedeck, we made the right decision to meet virtually today. The weather is continuing to deteriorate, and certainly would have been a horrible drive back for anybody that would have been going north from the meeting today. So the minutes of January 9th were circulated to you. Were there any errors or omissions in those minutes? If we don't have any issues with those minutes, could we please have a motion to approve the minutes as circulated, please?
I make the motion.
Moved
Approve.
by Councillor McLeod. We have a seconder, please. Councillor Oregon
Nope.
has seconded. All in favor? Contrary minded, the motion is carried and the minutes are approved. We're going to move on to the CAO's report, please. We'll turn it over to CAO Leanne McCack.
Thanks. So just want to start out with some of the things that were brought up at the last council session related to subdivisions and taking over roads. I'm going to be working on a recommendation for that, Larry, hopefully have for our next council session, but I'm assuming that it will be some type of policy that we will have to put in place where we're getting a couple of examples from a couple of other places to see what they might do. But mostly they say they recommend not taking over the road, just maybe looking at picking up some of the services or doing some of the services. So I will be working on that. Just to let everyone know that we received UARB rate approval today for our water rate study. And new rates will be implemented April 1st, 2023. And we will be working on getting communication out on this ASAP. So it will be a rate increase on the next bills. Bills went out this week, I believe, last week for our last billing, and our next ones will have a rate increase on that. There was a question about parking school buses in school parking lots over the summer, and the schools could actually be in agreement for that. They've sent me an application form to be completed by whoever it is that is looking to have that. So I'll send that application out, and then that can be forwarded on to the school. Just a little update that I received from Jen Ripley on the Meals Plus program. So we have some stats. We have somebody from each of the districts. There's 12 participants, and there's actually a waiting list of another 22 people. So of the 12 participants, there are 25% who are between the age of 55 and 64. There is 50% that are between 65 and 74. There's 8% between the age of 75 and 84. And there is 17% of our participants who are over the age of 85. So it is getting good use. The way that the food is distributed, 75% of the applicants pick it up themselves, and 25% is through a volunteer delivery system. So thank you to the volunteers who are making that happen. And of our wait list, or 22 people that are on a wait list, the residents, there's 5% in Iona, there is 5% in Ross Ferry, there is 27% in Ingonish, there's 9% in Niels Harbor, and there's 55% in Dingwall and Bay St. Lawrence. So just want to touch base on a couple of other things related to give you some department updates. So I attached a copy of our December income statement year to date with projected numbers on it. That was prepared by our finance team. Not sure if anyone has any questions on anything in there.
Yeah, Leanne, I just noticed one of them there is custodian salary, and then we have a cleaning person. What is custodian salary? Is that a contract, I'm thinking, or?
So that was the name that was in there a long time ago. Sometimes it takes more to change the words on it than the numbers. So I believe 15 years ago, the maintenance person used to have been called custodian. So it's our maintenance and cleaning. Actually, it's probably cleaning where that number goes into, which is a contracted position for in our administration building.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the CAO, please? Councillor Patterson.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. Yes, Dan, thank you very much for this information. Just a couple of things for my education. First of all, page 11, line 433. That is the, where's page 11?
Environmental health?
Environmental, that's basically solid waste, right? Is that,
Yes.
that includes all our solid waste?
Yes,
So it's roughly 2,792,000. Bruce, you probably remember when we started with our own collection and so on, we had a bid at that time,
Yeah.
and that's 15 years ago, for transport to Guysborough only of almost $800,000. So I think that's probably one of the wisest moves we ever made, was to take it over ourselves, because we had no control over tenders. It's working well. It's interesting. I think most people are finally getting sorting their waste. People are finally getting the rules straightened away or whatever. The final thing, and I think 99.9% of the items here are at this point below budget, which is good because we haven't reached the end of the year. The only one that stands out to me was the line 492 on page 12, the Cabot Trail washrooms. The forecast was 20,000 and the actual was about 106,000. So that was overspent, obviously. And that seems to, like I said, that seems to be the only one in the whole document that is that way. What's the explanation, I guess, for that over or the low forecast and the high spending?
so we had expected in the past, we've budgeted in the past to put washrooms in. We're behind on getting those washrooms done. So it's just a timing thing, because we had budgeted it prior years and we're spending it this year.
So it would have been totaling about 100,000 probably over the past number of years. It just so happens
More
that,
than that.
yeah, okay, but it just so happens that, like you said, the spending wasn't done in those prior years, so it kind of caught up with us this year.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
thank you.
referring it. Yeah.
And again, like I said, going through these, we're under budget, I think, on practically everything else, which is
Well,
to our,
Yeah, we're only partway through. That's where your projected column would come in.
yes, yeah.
But also related to the environmental health services, keep in mind C&D regulations are going to make our numbers grow exponentially. We have new transfer trucks, which are hard to get. They are going to be, they're large dollar amounts also. We need to look at updating a lot more of our fleet as well. Today, not sure if anybody saw it, we're expecting maybe a call, but our side loader's being hauled over to Sydney right now. It stopped on the side of the road and electrical issues, so have to have it towed. So aging equipment means that there's going to be lots more expenses coming in. So
Again, thanks for the information. Thanks to the finance people for providing it.
yeah, great.
Thank you,
Any other-
Councillor. Any other questions for Leanne, please? Anything
Okay.
else you wish to? Please proceed.
Okay, so we just had our 2022 AGM for VCT prior to this meeting. So we have approved the financials for that. So that was great. They are
Just for clarification, Leanne, VCT, for those who don't know that may be watching this, is Victoria County Transit.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep. No, that's okay. Sorry. Yeah, there's a lot of acronyms. We're actually putting a new section on our website for financials. So this is going to be live very soon. It will be a place for checking out any financial questions should be on there. Our grants will probably be in that area as well. Our tax collection update, just to let everyone know, we're so as I mentioned at the last council session, we've moved to a green in our FCIs for tax collections. It was the first time ever since the FCIs have come out, so that's great. And just an update on tax collections, we're actually 160,000 better this year than we were last year. So working on a green for this year as well. So really doing great in that section the last couple of years. And related to public works. So a test pit has been dug and completed for the North Shore washroom location. So we're moving on to the next steps for that and passing it on to some consultants on what we need to do for septic systems. We're also doing some ongoing work with the next phase of our asset management project. You might remember in the past that we labeled our linear assets. And so now we're doing some work on the actual physical above ground assets that we have. We've sent an application into Clean Internship for a 15-week internship to capture these water assets for our asset management project. So hopefully we will get that funding and get a position for that. As I mentioned earlier, our water bills have been printed and they were mailed out last week. So everyone should be receiving their, if they haven't received it, they should be receiving their water bills this week. And our Public Works Department and myself are going to be meeting with Neptune this week on an update for our smart radio meter installation. We're moving forward with changing all our water meters to radio meters, which is going to save time and energy for our water utility operators. They are going to be drive-by. We received UARB approval for that, I think it was back in October. So we're going to be moving to the next step on that. So anyone who has a meter is going to be required to be switched over to a smart radio meter. And Neptune will be taking care of all of the installation of that. And also, we were not successful in getting someone for our solid waste educator position, so we will be advertising that position again. In our tourism and recreation department, there's quite a few things going on. So our STEP project, which stands for Sustainable Tourism Expansion Program, it's in partnership right now with Ingonish Development Society, and they're actually moving to the hiring of consultant phase to work on some more next steps, if you will, on the STEP project. Our tourism department, so Dan has met with CBU's World Tourism Training Institute to discuss opportunities and suggestions for ways to assist our tourism businesses and organizations in Victoria County. So looking to see that we can work together to create this world-class tourism around the county. He was also invited to attend the Ingonish Development Society and BABTA's monthly meetings, which he will be doing. In recreation, we are awaiting funding response for increasing our supply of our loaner skis. I'm not sure if everyone, it's kind of counterintuitive right now with the rain going on outside, but I'm not sure if everyone remembers a few years ago, we applied to have a loaner program at the libraries for rental skis. We're looking to see if we can replenish our stock on some newer items and look for a place to store or a storage thing, shelf to put them on. So we're working on that to store up our there's more storage of the skis happening this year than rental of them. We're also working on a memorandum of understanding with Cape Breton Victoria Regional Center for Education and Blossom Health Promoting Schools. So it's a partnership to streamline these organizations to work together to improve programming at the schools. So that's something that Chris has been working on with the schools. We're also reviewing an agreement with Bicycle Nova Scotia in order to assess and recommend steps to improve and provide certified bicycle routes in areas, which is also a step on our trail system. So we're looking at identifying core active transportation networks. So that is a recreation update. On our trail side, so Larry may have mentioned it before, but just to let everyone know, our application for Infrastructure Canada Active Transportation Funding, we were not successful on that application. We are still planning on whatever type of funding we can get. We are doing the applications for it. But sometimes you aren't successful no matter how good your application is. So we are still looking for opportunities and working forward with our trails, but we did not receive that large chunk. We are also working to continue in planning and finalizing land agreements and permits on our trails. We're having a trail builders meeting in February and an RFP process in late February for work to commence in the spring when conditions allow for our next phase of trails. And just a note for anyone who is a local group for trails, our trail support program still has a bit of remaining funding available. So if someone is working on a repair project on a trail or a new trail development, we're open to applications. So please give Dan a call on that. In community development. Oh, and Alex is just giving me an update on the water bills. The new rates will be effective April 1st, so it'll be the bill received after that. So it will be in July because the rates aren't coming into play until April 1st. So we can't bill for the prior session. So just a little update on, thanks, Alex. So on community development, so Dan is working on a Beacon Bedeck project, which is a comprehensive community planning project. We've started one up in Ingonish already, sorry, in Ingonish. And so our next phase is Bedeck. So he's looking to have a community information session in April or May and develop a terms of reference and a planned project scope. In senior safety, so Cassandra has been working with the RCMP on frauds and scams presentations. They're ongoing and they're going really well. Just something that RCMP have let us know about that they are looking to promote is they are looking to have a safe exchange program where you'll be able to meet at the local detachment parking lots. So let's say if you're buying something off of Kijiji and are looking to do an exchange, the RCMP are going to be promoting that their parking lots are a safe spot for that to happen. So we'll be hearing more about that in the next little bit. Well, that's a good thing. Acting Collectively project. So we're having a real lack of participation in that. We're encouraging anyone who might be interested that is over 65 or older, please contact Cassandra related to that. Her and Chris are working on putting together a pickleball tournament, and some information will be going out on that in the next little bit. She says she's been getting a few more one-on-one calls, and as I'd mentioned earlier, over Christmas, there was a lot of isolation in several different ways that seniors were feeling. So something we know that we need to work on. And our accessibility plan has been approved. Our next step is to have it posted on our website, and we had a meeting about starting to implement some of the steps in the plan. So a couple of other things, ongoing discussions with Smokey about their development and ways of the Fed. So it's meetings between the feds, the province, and us on things that possibly could be done, or watching the progress of them. There's a few of us in here in administration that will be presenting to Rankin School about municipal government careers. And if there's any other schools in Victoria County that are interested in this presentation, we encourage the school to reach out to Alex for it. We're more than willing to go and talk about that. And just wanting to find out, gauge the crowd. We've received our NSFM renewal fee. It's a 7% increase this year. Just wanting to know that everyone's interested in continuing that.
We're good? Yes, Councillor Patterson.
Yeah, just on the last item, Leanne, I think the NSFM, I should say, is going through a major organizational change. It's kind of going in fits and starts. The warden and I attended a Zoom meeting last week on it, but its intent is to make the organization more efficient. I know you listed off the last meeting the number of items that we weren't successful with, but I think what they're looking at is having more influence, I guess, with provincial government to be a part of the process that they go through that affects us. We always seem to be the last ones to find out about things, municipalities. And I think we have to give that process kind of a chance before we take any other steps. Hopefully it will be successful, but at least the organization sees the need for change. And like I said, hopefully it'll be a positive one.
Thank you for those comments, Fraser, and you're very accurate with them as well. So, and
Okay, so I'm just looking, I'm wondering if so yes? Is that a yes?
is there anybody opposed to not rejoining? Everybody appears to be in favor, so we'll renew our membership. In fact, do you wish to have a motion to that effect, or are you good with just the approval of council?
Sure, do a motion.
I think we should do a motion because it is a financial. So can we have a motion to renew our membership with the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities? That has been moved by Councillor Patterson. Do we have a seconder, please? Councillor McNeil has seconded the motion. All in favor? Contrary minded, the motion is carried. We will proceed with our membership.
Great, thank you. And that's it.
Okay, I know that Deputy Warden has a quick question, and so does Councillor Longa. I'll go to Councillor Deputy Warden first, and then Councillor Longa. Go ahead, Larry, please.
Yeah, thank you, Warden. And Leanne, just another quick financial question. I noticed under recreation programming that school recreation funding had 11,600. I noticed nothing has gone out on that. I know a number of years ago, all councillors were being asked to help out with tournaments and whatnot, and we'd made a decision at that time to provide funding to each school as a bulk amount each year. I'm just wondering, is that still in effect? Is this what this is referring to? And I'm wondering why we haven't given anything out on it. And also the rink funding, I noticed nothing's been given out. Is that because they haven't submitted their application for it or their information, or is there a reason there's nothing been given out on that?
Those are always, they seem to be end of the year things. So it hasn't, the money hasn't been spent yet. It's just timing. It actually usually happens at the end of the year, but they also do need to request that money. So if no requests came in, we're not writing a check.
Okay, could just maybe send an email that I'm just wondering how much we give to each school. That's one of the questions I was asked by one of the sports teams here. They were just wondering how much we give to each school, so we can forward that information. No need now, but down the line if you could send information.
And I think that that changed a couple of years ago. I think we gave permission to the recreation department to not have a set amount for each school. So if one school was having something that was really a great project, we didn't want to be limited. So there are some parameters around it, but I'll get that sent out to you.
No, that'd be perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. Councillor Longa, you had a question, please.
Yes, I wondered what the Beacon community planning is all about. Is that like strategic planning, or what does it entail? Like,
so it's going to be we looked at this sort of a couple of years ago, a Vision Bedeck. So it's inviting, it's a small area, so it's not really covering much of your area, maybe a little bit on the outskirts there, but what do people in this area want to happen in this area and see it? So it's sort of a strategic community planning, a visioning, if you will, for the area.
okay, but it's inclusive to South Haven. I mean, who is it inclusive to? Who can go to the planning thing? Like, I mean, we're all aware of the people that want to have a recreation building that includes a whole lot of things. So is this something that they could talk about at that meeting and that they'd be heard?
So the first step is there has been it's a 10-kilometer radius of the village. There is a steering committee that has been selected to then reach out to other members for forming a committee. Then there will be a terms of reference. Then that committee is going to have a community information session. So there has been an invited number of community residents to form a committee to then form another committee. If you have more questions on it, you could go see Dan on it. So this is his brainchild, but it is to look at what is wanted in the community. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like to make it 10 kilometers, it's like anyone from South Haven. I mean, even on the North Shore, people like do a lot of stuff in Bedeque. They pay their taxes there. They go to the grocery store there. They go to the doctor there. So anything that happens in Bedeque area, I would think that those areas would be inclusive of things that they want to see happening in Bedeque.
So you might want to talk to Dan on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, Councillor Patterson? And then we're
Thank you,
going
Gordon. Yeah, I just want to mention that since we mentioned the NSFM a few minutes ago, and I mentioned the Zoom meeting last week, there's also an in-person meeting at the NSFM on Thursday of this week. And I'd like to ask council's permission to attend.
Are we okay with Councillor Patterson?
Based on weather that's expected for Thursday, I don't know how many people are moving anywhere.
We'll see. Yeah.
Fraser,
Yeah.
is it not the same as the Zoom session that already happened? You either had a choice of doing the Zoom or the in-person, or is it two total different things?
No, it's not two totally different things, but it's part of the process, Larry, where
you have to be
the
in person,
Zoom meeting was information. And then now they're going to finally put the motions forward, have people debate the motions, and then either pass or not pass them. It's gonna be kind of a rocky process through the whole thing, as you may know if you've been following it. But I think that the intent was to get information, have more of a, I guess, committee of the whole on the Zoom meeting because there was lots of discussion. And then on Thursday, it'll be kind of the final ratification of the whole package. So.
Yeah, I think you're right, Fred. Sorry, I misspoke there. Now that you reminded me, I think that was part of the bylaws. They hope to change is that you couldn't do it virtually. You had to do it in person. So yeah, you're right. That is two different things. Thank you.
There are a number of changes and from the NSFM, and they put it out on their listserv. It's been there. So if you have I think it's important we have concerns, or you have concerns as councillors, that should you wish to attend, it's probably an important meeting, because if you're not there, you can't vote, you can't change anything. So if you have a genuine interest, I don't foresee any issues with that. Anybody opposed to attendance at that meeting, it is important. Thank you. And I think Councillor Organ had a question, did you not? Sorry.
Yes, just a quick one, Leanne. You were talking about bathrooms earlier. I know this is a sticky question around us. What's the criteria for the county funded bathrooms? Are they supposed to be open year round?
So ideally, they are open year round. We have agreements with each organization on them keeping it open based on what works for them. I think I heard that there might be some that we thought were open that may not have been open the last little bit, which I need to look into.
No, I just had a complaint that somebody was in the Bedeque area and the bathrooms there were closed.
Yeah, so these ones were kept open until I think it was the 23rd of December. But if there's no one to, they are based on they're seasonal. This one here in Bedeque is seasonal. And it's based on when the group that's operating it can find someone to keep it open.
So next, like, I don't know, maybe I'm speaking in a term here, but next time, like funding, should that be in consideration if something's going to be open?
So we don't fund the funding.
But when they ask us for money for grants, should we look at something that if you're going to be open year round, might be little bit?
Yeah, so that's not actually how we fund the washrooms. We fund them based on what they actually, if we fund them, we fund them based on what the usage was, or the supplies and the people. There's some that we don't have to do any funding for. There's others that we have an agreement with, but we don't give a lump sum and say, here you go, operate it. Yeah, so it's a constant battle.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Leanne.
Yeah, but there are, if other organizations besides the ones that we have are interested in operational funding for washrooms that they do have, like I think there's one in your area, Jackie.
Yeah, there's one in Neils Harbor, and there's one in, I think there was one in Cape North there, right?
Yeah, that's one of ours, yeah. But if there is, if they are looking for an operational fund, they should be putting in a grant in the grant application. The grant.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions in regards to CAO or for the information CAO provided this afternoon? All right, well, our next item is a 10-minute recess, or does council wish to proceed since we are virtual this afternoon? Wish to proceed?
I'm good, we're proceeding.
Yeah.
We're good with proceeding? I guess, is there anybody opposed to proceeding? Thank you very much. I think the next item is district concerns. So we'll start with district number 8, and Councillor McDonald, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Warden. Just a few things this afternoon. Basically, it's to do with busing issues, school bus issues with area residents have called the concerns. More than often buses have been canceled and there's no spare or casual driver. I know they do have, I believe it's one spare driver from North Smoky. And I don't know if he or she, if they do the entire coverage area of from north to Capstick. But the complaints I'm getting is that we'll get notification, usually by text, or it's posted to social media, that the bus route, I can just use my example in District 8, there was 2 days, a week and a half ago, that the bus was canceled consecutively 2 days in a row, which really kind of throws things in a mess because parents have called me and they said that they can't go to work because they can't leave their children at home, or B, it's the other way around, that if they can't get their children to school with busing, then the children are missing out on 2 days of education back to back. So it's kind of becoming something that's happening more often than not. I know within the last 6 months, it probably has happened at least 6 or 7 times. So I was wondering if maybe we could reach out to, I guess it's the Director of Transportation, Tara Gaskell, through the Regional School Board. And we could add Susan Kelly on that as well, because that was brought up, I remember, at a past council session a while back. And I know they were advertising for bus drivers per se, but I just kind of took it upon myself and went to the school board website. I couldn't seem to find any, it's very confusing. Like there's no direction for application for looking for spare drivers, casual drivers in Victoria County in general. So to that effect, I would like to make a motion on that, if I could.
You can, and there is a motion on the floor by Councillor McDonald. Do we have a second for that, please?
I'll second that wholeheartedly.
Thank you. That's been strongly supported by Councillor Oregon. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Norman. Anything else?
Yeah, and I'd just like to clarify that I will type that motion up properly and send it to staff the way that it should be.
Yep.
Secondly is Public Works, looking for, wondering if we can have a meeting other than the usual meetings that we have sometimes with Director of Public Works and back. They're always held like at 9:30 in the morning, which for me never works because I'd have to leave here at 6:30 to get there to the meeting. It's been a while since we've met with Steve McDonald and his team, but a lot of concern I'm getting on this end now is with the recent snowfalls that we have been having up here in District 8, is that one of the apparatuses have been taken out of Cape North and moved to Ingonish. And that being said, that there's 2 side loaders and 1 salt unit that is covering from basically Meat Cove to Neils Harbor in that sense. And, you know, it's not working, honestly. I know there's a criteria the province puts out that there's a certain time frame where they have to clear the snow. And I mean, just using as my example, my road up here, most times it's 9 o'clock in the evening before it even gets plowed. And now it seems that they wait until the snow stops, when before they would generally be out doing general maintenance on the roads, but now they wait till the event stops before they can do anything. So I was wondering you know, it kind of seems like it's going a little bit backwards. They're taking equipment away from us in the north. And where's that equipment going when it's kind of like it seemed like it was working, but now it's not working, and I don't know why they're doing it or making those decisions. And I've chatted with MLA Bain on the situation. He said he's looking into this matter as well. So I was wondering if maybe Leanne, if you could put a note out to Steve, and if there's other councilors that have concerns with Winterworks, looking for an inventory, I guess, of equipment that we have, namely north, because I don't know south if there's any issues south, but just to try to clarify, because I've been getting a lot of calls with regard to why is that 6x6 plow taking out here, and they're saying that it's St. English, whether it is or not, I don't know, because then it'll just be a matter of time before it'll probably be taken from English as well. So I don't think I have to make a motion to that effect, but I just wanted to bring that up on today's.
Yeah, we can, and I can assure you, we have issues south as well, Norm. It seems to be a really a lot of conversation around roads the last couple of weeks. I can only speak for myself, but I know from speaking with other councillors, similar issues, similar concerns. So,
I think, sorry, Warren, I think it would be a good thing if we could maybe invite Ms. McDonald to a council session so that
Sure.
the public can weigh in on it and see, you know, what the answers are.
no, and see the answers that we're getting and relaying as
Right.
well. I agree with you. So, okay, I think if you're asking to come to council, maybe you would put that in the form of a motion so that we would have it formally to ask Steve McDonald to attend council sessions, hopefully in February and before the winter, is gone. So, yeah, if you wish to put that in the form of a motion, that would be great.
Yeah, I, Councilor Norman McDonald, would like to make a motion that we invite Director of Public Works, Steve McDonald, and his counterparts to come to Victoria County Council at their earliest convenience.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
Norman, can you add something into that? Is it the director from north of Smoky? Be there too?
The OS.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they have a present OS here. I think it's the maintenance supervisor that comes down here. If that's right to say that. So we don't have an OS for North, but yes,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
It certainly would include those representatives as well. Jackie will ask
Okay.
for the director and the support staff that provide services both north and south.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that, please?
I second.
Second by Councillor McNeil, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded, and it doesn't have to, we can make it a special meeting of council if council so decides, so that we don't have to wait indefinitely. So it'll be at their convenience. Is that kind of my understanding, Councillor McDonald and Councillor Organ? Are you good with that?
As long as it's not 9 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, exactly. We'll put that caveat on it. So, all right, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have any, all in favor, please? Contrary minded, motion is carried. The letter will be sent.
And that's it, sir. Just the last thing is for Leanne, and sorry, I should have brought it up when you did your report there. When people are applying for the community grants application, could you just say what the email is that they should be sending it to? Because people are asking if they send it to me, or does this go directly to you? It's community, is it community grants at Victoria County?
It's grants@victoriacounty.ca.
So any funding applications that are being requested are to go to that email?
All of them have to go through that email, grants@victoriacounty.ca.
Great, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait.
Excuse me, sorry.
Sorry.
Councillor
Warren.
McNeil.
So,
Yes, sir.
would it be possible for them to send it to the councilors as well, like copy the count? No?
No, I mean, they can copy the counselor if they
Yeah.
like, but we don't want anybody to get lost. We don't want them going to different spots. We want them going, like, we know that they will come in through
Yeah.
grants@victoriacounty.ca.
But it's good for us to know what
You're gonna get a full package like you
Okay.
did last year. But they can certainly CC you on it, but we are considering it to be in here by having it come through grants@victoriacounty.ca.
Thank you, Councillor. We're going to go down to District number 7 with Jackie Organ, please.
Thank you, Warden. Leanne, can you tell me the date again that those applications have to be in? Sorry,
March 31st.
March 31st. Okay. Okay.
The
District
grant
concerns.
application is now online, so it
Yeah.
is up there now.
Just for my notes here. District concerns for District 7, it was quiet. I'm still waiting for a streetlight update for the White Point intersection. I don't know if anybody has heard anything, Steph or Leanne, or I mean, I might have to
They're
go
telling
through.
me, Jackie, they're telling me that they still need more information, other than giving them the location and the contact name of the local guy up there. I guess that's not good enough. They're still saying they need more information, but they won't tell me what information they need, other than what I've already given them. So I'm not really sure where to go at this point unless
Okay,
your contact wants to contact them again directly. I'm not sure, but I don't know what else to do at this point.
okay, I will talk to Mr. Gillis and get on that again. Also, the no parking signs for the school bus turning in White Point. I sent an email off to Steve and I got a reply that he's looking into it for an update for me. So hopefully this will be resolved before this school year is out again and the tourists begin. Also, I had an ask from the Niels Harbor New Haven Development Association about fixing, repairing the stairs to the Niels Harbor Beach. I sent an email off to Dan and he asked me some questions. So I sent that off to the Development Association, waiting for their reply. So hopefully he'll steer us in the right direction to get garbage cans maybe and the stairs repaired for that. And that's all that I have in District 7. Oh, just to let Mr. Councillor McDonald know that the spare bus driver covers the whole area from the bottom of Smoky right to Meat Cove. He is our only spare driver. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate the update. We're going to go to District number 6 and the Deputy Warden, please.
Thanks, Warden. Just a couple of things. Steph, when you're looking at the street lights, again, the two street lights that we placed on the look off or the parking area top of Smoky, one blew down in Fiona. There's no light. It's totally gone from the pole and it's never been replaced. I know we put a report in, but if you happen to be talking to them, maybe bring it up again. And because I'm sure they're charging us for it, even though it's not there. So it'd be nice to get the second one put back up. I guess the only other things are, I totally agree with Councillor McDonald in regards to highways. We need to meet with Steve again on a number of issues, but Steph, if you can check, we did send a letter to the Minister of Public Works, Mashlin, I believe is her name, to have a meeting with her, and I don't think we've had any response. So I'm wondering if we could look up the date of that, and if possible, resend the letter again to them. And also, we sent a letter out in regards to the 100th anniversary of the Cabot Trail here. Must have been last August. So I don't think we ever received a response from either the federal government or provincial government. But if we've not received, can we resend those letters again also? And I'm not sure if we need a motion for that, Warden, or where it's just
Yes,
sending letters.
for correspondence would be recommended.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we look at the dates of those letters and resend the letter to the Department of Public Works, the minister, for a meeting, and also to the second one in regards to the Cabot Trail 10 or 100-year anniversary, which is coming up, and see if we can finally get a response from the province or the feds on that one. Thanks very much.
Great. We just need a seconder for each of those motions. So we have Jackie Organ has moved the first one, and Councillor McNeil has moved the second one. All in favor of both those motions?
Aye.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deputy Warden. We're going to District number 5. Councillor Patterson, anything in your district this afternoon, please?
Thank you, Warden. Just an observation on Councillor McDonald's observation. I've noticed too that the plows don't seem to be coming out during the storm or the snowfall. It seems to be they do wait until the storm is over, basically. And the other thing, they haven't been using a lot of salt either. And as we all know who drive, that this wet, slushy snow is the worst to drive in. I'd rather drive on a glib of ice than drive in that, because it can just pull your wheels and you can be gone. The other issue with Public Works is I think I mentioned it last meeting too. There's a section of the Kempted Road where there's a guardrail. Some of the posts are hanging in the air. because the ground is eroded completely from the bottom of it. It's about a 40 or 50-foot drop into the lake. And I had taken pictures. My feet are on the pavement. There's less than a foot of shoulder, and then it's straight down. And there was actually a delivery van last week who did go off on the shoulder that's there, and was very fortunate that he didn't go any further. So those are issues I think we'd like to discuss with Mr. McDonald and the rest of the people at Public Works. Secondly, Warden, I'd like to make a motion to take $1,000 from my district budget for the Friends of Big Bador Hall.
Okay, we have a seconder for that, please. Seconded by Councillor Longback. All in favor? Contrary
Aye.
minded? Motion's carried. The money is spent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go to District number 4. Councillor Longo, please.
Thank you, Warden. First, I'd like to say that it's so sad that we lost another 2 diamonds from this community, Leon Davinsky and also Juanita McGinnis in the last week. And I'd like to ask if we could send sympathy cards to both of those families, and I pass along my deepest sympathy to them and their families. I'd like to make a motion. We were fortunate to get 2 new fire trucks in the North Shore District Fire Department that will be used in this area between Wreck Cove and North River. That's not exactly where they'll be placed in those locations, which is a great thing for all of Victoria County to have 2 more trucks in the area. But they have to go to Ontario to pick them up. So I'd like to make a motion to give $1,000 from my district budget to the North Shore and District Fire Department to offset the cost of the travel and cost to get those trucks from Ontario to here.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that, please? Seconded by Councillor McNeil. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you.
I also was wondering if we could, if I could make a motion to have the Ecology Action Center come into council and do a presentation.
Sure.
In the nearest future, just to see what else we as a municipality could be doing to help climate change.
Absolutely.
We're seeing so many storms.
So
So I'll
correct.
make that a
Then-
motion.
Okay, if it's a motion, that's, do you have a seconder for that, please? Seconded by Councillor Organ. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion's carried. Thank you. Good idea.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of calls and emails from people in my district that have been feeling like they aren't being heard. They feel like there's a lack of inclusiveness, and not just that there's a lack of inclusiveness, but they are actually feeling that it's exclusionary, and that the county isn't open to community engagement. And they don't feel like they feel there's a lack of transparency, and they feel like there's no community planning. Do we know what the demographic of Victoria County is? I wonder.
We do. That information is readily available through Census Canada. Is the lack of inclusion, is that in regards to our general day-to-day activities? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, there's a lack of, a lot of people feel that there's a lack of communication. When they do contact council, they feel like that they aren't answered or don't have time to answer. Well, one example would be that, like, if we're having somebody in to speak, why do we put a 20-minute limit on that? Like, why, if it's something that is good for all of Victoria County, why wouldn't we like allow as much time as there needs to be for it? Like the meeting that I was at for the rink, all councillors were told we could have 1 question, and then the public was allowed 1 question. But why? Like, I mean, I didn't have anywhere to go. I could have stayed another hour. I don't know about the other councillors, but I think that when there's like that many people, there must have been 20 of the public showed up at the courthouse, and people were like cut short, I felt, and even the council was cut short in what we were able to say.
Yeah, I would
And
say,
as-
yeah.
Mhm.
No,
And
no,
as
go
far
ahead.
as communication goes, I've been told that it's like when I say, well, how is the public going to know about this? Because I feel that I've been elected by the public. And the only way that I can know, I can't just assume that I know what everybody's thinking when we have big things like bylaws or big, like $25 million buildings being built, that like people feel like they aren't hearing about it. And when they do hear about it and they ask questions, that they aren't being heard.
Okay.
So I've been told that I should, that it says it on the website. And then, okay, so I had a constituent went to the website to find out about a meeting. They typed in meeting in the search bar, nothing turned up. No meeting, not even the word, couldn't be found. So that's difficult. I had somebody today that wanted to know what the agenda was for the meeting. They looked on the website, they couldn't find it. So it seems like it's not really easy to find things on the website
Okay.
for the
And,
average person.
okay, yeah, and I would explain it this way, Barb. It just depends on the agenda item. Some of them are municipal issues, some of them are updates by other organizations, and it could be any one of a number of organizations. And you know, I think the subject will determine the amount of time that we allocate. The other thing is that we have a meeting to run, and we have to keep track of time, and we have to make sure that the issues are dealt with in a timely fashion. And perhaps if there is not sufficient, then we will deal with it at an additional meeting. But we are always cognizant of allowing people to participate and making sure the council has councillors have sufficient time as well. But having said that, you know, time is always a factor. And as we move forward into some priority setting over the next month or so, I think it'd be a good time to have that discussion as well.
Yeah, so I had a constituent and more than one constituent that would like to see Victoria County commit to doing a planning strategy based on community assessment and involvement. Is that something that's possible, that we could do a strategic planning session that's a public, where they would like to see that every councillor in their area, you know, ask questions in their area and bring that to strategic planning, so that all of the constituents in Victoria County have input to what the strategic planning should be.
Yeah, I would be open to having that discussion, Barb. You know, council is an open session. People can come to any meetings at any time. So I would encourage them to attend council and bring their concerns forward there as well. But as mentioned, we will be going into a priority setting session over the next month. And I think if that's one of the items that people in your district have asked you to bring forward, I would bring it forward at that session that we're having. And that will be a decision of council. I can't commit to that. It'll be what council decides. But we're open to that discussion for sure.
Gordon, can I say something?
Sure.
Okay. I understand. I received some email from you, from your district, something about transparency. It really, really hurts because this council is transparency. Not that mean that we do not agree with that person, is because it's not transparency. We inviting some of the residents of your district to come to council and speak in front. I think this is miscommunication for maybe both parts. So I think when somebody's saying that we are not transparency in this council, really is, he needs to come forward and tell us in front, not by email or not to send it to you. My residents, my constituents, I didn't receive any comments or any against all that you say. Maybe it's only in your district. So I invite you to tell them to come to council and have the 8 councilors here to tell us how the transparency is. They are not getting it, because really telling that upset me very much. So I'm just going to be clear in the minutes, because we are the Transparency Council. If we don't if we don't agree with what they want to plan, that don't mean that we're not transparency. We invite them for councils so many times, and all these groups, they're asking for a lot of things. We invite them again to council to talk to us. If they want an hour, they want 2 hours, well, we can give them the 2 hours if they want. But they need to ask. That's only I can say.
Okay, thank you.
They have asked to come
When?
to council and have,
When?
and it was, the email was sent out, and I
Send
don't
the email
want to.
back. The CEO sent the email saying, give us the time you can come to council, and that person didn't want to come to council.
So
if
I think,
he wants to come to council, if he wants 2 hours to speech, go ahead. We can listen. We can have all day. He need that, and the public will be there too. We don't need to have to hide anything. In my part, I don't have to hide anything, because every
So-
time they're asking a question, I give the answer. I'm not behind anybody.
so I think what we'll do with this one, so that we kind of resolve it, is that anybody that wishes to come to council, all they have to do is contact the CAO. That's always been our policy. I would encourage anybody that asks you those questions, Barb, we're more than happy to, and we've always been open to, for the most part, having anybody attend council and make any presentation they wish to. And as far as with your other request, yeah, absolutely bring it to the priority planning sessions. We can have a further discussion at that point. But yeah.
Also, information is all on our municipal calendar on our website. Our agenda is listed there. Everything is there. And if you can't find it, maybe we need to have a counselor training session on our website. But if
It wasn't me as a counselor that was looking for the agenda. It was a
Oh,
constituent
yes, but I
who's
believe you
quite
called.
savvy on, the person is quite savvy on computer. I've had several people that are very good on computer, and they have gone into the search bar and put in meeting, and nothing showed up. And I don't know if that's like search words, because I'm not that savvy on computer, but these people are, and they couldn't find simple things on there.
So we'll commit to taking a look at that, see if there's some improvements we can make. Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, appreciate that. I appreciate your comments and your frankness as well, Councillor. And Councillor
Yeah,
McLeod.
I'm not here to make anyone angry. I'm just bringing my concerns, because that's what I think my job is as a counselor, is to say
Absolutely.
how my constituents feel.
I'm not angry. I'm just saying, when somebody saying that with no transparency, that is another issue.
Just an FYI, down by the big lighthouse, down near the bottom of the front page on the website, there's a button there, a link to click that says municipal calendar, and all your meetings that are scheduled are open to the public, and they're all on there.
Okay, another point I had to make, sorry, about the website, was that all things that are happening coming up in the near future, like people wondered if there could be like it could be right there on the front page, and you could just click on it rather than having to go into each separate part of the website and search, because they
Maybe
said
if you could summarize your thoughts on the website, because I mean, it was new last year. We're working out the tweaks on it, but if you can summarize those points and bring them forward, we want to be, as far as I'm concerned, we are as transparent as possible. So if there's anything else we can do, we're open to it.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll commit to that, Barb, and just give a list of those concerns, both yours and any that have been forwarded to you. Send them directly in, CC all the council, so that we're well aware of what the issues are. We're also well aware of what improvements are done if they need to be done. But absolutely, no, and you brought your point across very well this afternoon, and it is absolutely, you're right, as councillor, to bring concerns forward, and you did a good job of that this afternoon. So
thank you.
anything else that
I'm done.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to go down to District number 2, please.
Thanks, Warren. I just have one motion to a letter to send to Development of Scotia. Just want to know where's the areas of Victoria County they're going to do in the spring, summer when the weather is getting better. So if they have any plan for the broadband
Okay,
or
and that,
in the Development of Scotia, yeah.
yeah, develop Nova Scotia in regards to broadband. Do we have a seconder for that, please, to forward that correspondence for the plan? That's second by the Deputy Warden. All in favor? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can you just add, if they don't have any project to do in this year, to tell us how long is going to be the waiting for start doing?
So you want a okay, a schedule and a, yeah, and that was seconded by Councillor Longba. We good? All in favor of sending that letter? Contrary minded, motion's carried. Thank you very much.
That's it.
Sorry,
Thanks.
go ahead.
That's it. Thanks.
It. We're going to go to District number 1, please. Councillor McNeil.
Thank you, Warden. I have a few things here that I have to bring forward. First, with Nova Scotia Public Works, there was a shoulder collapsed on the road, on the Gillis Point Road, close to the shale pit in Washbook. It's a very dangerous situation. It's right up to the pavement. If the plow, with any snow amount, if the plow goes near that, it'll be over the side of the road. They did put a pylon in the area to warn people, but it has to be fixed as soon as possible. Again, complaints, not with the plowing itself, but with the time, as Councillor McDonald said, with the time that even the contractors for the dirt road say they don't get called out when they should get called out for the storms. So I'm waiting for that meeting with Steve McDonald and the rest of his crew to bring that forward too. It seems like ever since that policy, 24 hours to get the dirt roads plowed, it seems it's getting longer every year before the plows go out. Other issues, I've been in contact with Steve McDonald and MLA Keith Bain on these two items. Also, for other issues, the Nova Scotia Highland Village and the other Nova Scotia Museum families have not had an operational budget increase since 2008. Actually, since that time, they've endured a 2.4% decrease. This is a big strain on the museums, especially here at the Highland Village. The Highland Village is very grateful for the capital funding they have received over the past few years to upgrade, but without this operational increase, they won't take advantage of the whole situation they were given. I'd like to make a motion to send a letter to Minister Pat Dunn to look at an increase for all of the museums, operational increase for all of the museums in Nova Scotia, if that's possible.
That is very possible. That is seconded by the Deputy Warden. All in favor? Contrary minded, the motion is carried. Thank you, sir.
Also, I was at a town hall meeting in Boysdale last week. And basically it was concerns over Route 223 and mostly on the Cape Breton side of the bridge. But they asked if I would bring it forward to council to have a letter written on behalf of Victoria County to have the remaining section from the bottom of Baraswan Mountain to an area in Shenandoah completed and paved. It does affect residents in District 1. They travel that road almost every day. So I make a motion that a letter be sent to the minister to have that section paved.
We have a seconder for that, please. Seconded by Councillor McLeod. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. Thank you, sir. Anything else?
And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't have any district concerns for district number 3 this evening, but I just want to mention that we are going to be going, the next item up is committee reports. And I just want to check with Leanne, have we changed representatives on different committees? And I don't know if those committees have been notified that some of the representatives and appointees from council have changed. And I wonder, has that gone out, or if it hasn't, could it go out as quick as possible?
The groups, okay, yeah, so we'll, which we have currently, and we're looking to see if that's gonna stay, those committees.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we'll update.
Yeah, I did receive correspondence from a group that I know we're just changing. We're kind of changing our representatives on. And anyway,
So
just
I received one also, and there hasn't been, there was no term, if it's the same one, if it's the library, there was no term.
no. The library, we reappointed our Councillor Longa to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now this is the other one. I'll send you the correspondence. And is there any other committee reports this afternoon?
Can I just make a couple of comments on things that throughout that discussion there? So Jackie, on your comment about the washroom, apparently the washrooms in Bedeck, they are committing to having one open throughout the whole winter.
Good.
Yeah, so just to let you know that there, so hopefully that is, that's what I'm hearing. So hopefully that is true. Yeah, fingers crossed. And last point, just related to that conversation, please be sure to remember that the Victoria Highland Civic Center, Community Center is not ours. It's a volunteer committee that is looking for the funding for it and for setting it up. So it's not ours. So at our last council session, we were getting an update on it just like everyone else was. If community groups are looking to speak to them, they should go directly to the chair of that group.
Thank you. All right, with committee reports.
And one other thing,
Sorry.
if community development is a priority in your area, please bring that forward as a priority because we will be speaking about them. So as of our last go around 2 years ago, we had high priorities for trails, for healthcare, for affordable housing. We're working on those things. I don't believe at climate change, which is a tougher, bigger one. I don't know where this would have been in the priorities that were set. So.
Okay, and thank you for that. Councillor MacLeod, any committee reports, please?
Yeah, thanks, Gordon. Just to let you know, we have our AGM, the Victoria County Transit today.
Yeah.
Just for financials, and yeah, just to put in the minutes we have today. That.
Okay, and those minutes will be available online shortly.
Yes.
All right. I think. Sorry, Councillor McNeil.
Yeah, sorry, Warden. Just an update. We had a SAPI Management Committee meeting the other day. And at that meeting, Doug Foster from the Biosphere Association gave a presentation. They have means of getting funding for a big climate change project, and they want First Nations and municipalities involved in it too. So I told them I told Doug to email you, Leanne, about the project and or myself, and I'll forward it to you. And in the near future, you should be getting information about this project. So
okay.
Oh,
I just wanted to let you know. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Any other final comments? We have a gentleman in waiting in the queue to address us. So Councillor McDonald, yes.
I think you skipped a couple of points there too. I think you skipped motions and correspondence.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm still on committee reports here, but Councillor
Yeah,
McDonald.
that's easier before that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motions. Did we have any motions? We
No.
didn't have. My apologies. Any correspondence? Sorry.
it's all been forwarded out to you, and unfortunately, we haven't received as many back as what we had wanted, so that's why we're going to resend some letters out.
Sorry, thank you, and thank you for getting me back on track. And it's anyway, it's where I'm at this last couple of days, so my apologies. Sorry, Councillor McDonald, did you have anything under committee reports or comments?
No, sir. Just on a lighter note there, I was wondering maybe if someone could address Councillor McNeil next time to use a proper drinking attire there instead of that terrible looking mug that he was using earlier. That's all. I just wanted to pass that off.
There is a code of conduct coming for councillors. We'll make sure that that may be part of the conversation. So thanks for pointing that out. All right, so we have pretty well finished our council. We had a request from an individual to talk to council today, which we said we would. It is Parker Barrs-Dunham. Parker, I think you're there somewhere, so I think.
I'm here now.
Thank you. I
don't know why you can't see me, but
we can see your picture, we can hear you, and I thought it was odd that you might be
okay.
quiet. So welcome to council, sir. And you would send us some correspondence, and you want to follow up with some comments today. So the floor is yours for the next 5 or so minutes.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. And I want to express my gratitude to CAO McEachern and yourself, Warden Morrison, for permission to speak today on what was very short notice, and also to Steph McLeod and Dan Coffin for helping facilitate it. I live at Kempt Head on Bulliedry Island. I moved here in 1970. I also own a house in Halifax where my son's family resides. So I live here, but I pay taxes in both places. And I often brag to my Halifax friends about how much better Victoria County is run than HRM. The main difference is that you seem to focus on governing the county, and you stay in that lane. You don't use your council position to go off on all kinds of adventures far outside the mandate of community governance, or to signal your virtue on various contemporary political issues. And I really appreciate that restraint. And I did write the council in August, and I believe my letter was read at the time in a council meeting. But I'm going to repeat some of what I said there. Baddeck is a community of 769 souls. It serves as the county seat for a county with a population of 7,089, which makes it the smallest county in Nova Scotia. Baddeck needs new county offices, a fire station, a rink, a place for the farmers market, a library, a venue for Theatre Baddeck, and a meeting hall that will hold more than 80 people. It's a very big wish list for a small community. And here I want to take exception to something that CAO McEachern just said. She basically said, citizens, don't come to us about the rink, not our problem, not our department. Well, in fact, you've given $1 million to the all-male group that is promoting a new rink. All of the women members of the planning committee having resigned in the last little while.
I'm not sure that's accurate, Parker, but anyway.
It's pretty close to accurate. It may not be every one of them, but there have been several resignations. Anyway, be that as it may, hockey is really popular. It's very easy for hockey requests to Bigfoot everything else. And I just think we need some planning around these community alternatives rather than having this group pop up and that group pop up. A lot of these requests or needs involve a physical facility, and to simply let each one proceed in isolation when they could be combined for greater efficiency, I think it's really a poor lack of planning and not a proper way for the county to proceed. And I want to stress, I say this as someone who is generally very supportive of council and very appreciative of the way you operate. But if I think you need to use your position as councillors and as the government of our county to bring these groups together and try to get them to plan together so that we don't end up with some things getting short shrift because it's simply a longer wish list than we can fulfill. I think a good example of what can be accomplished when groups work together is the municipal building, the Grand Lake Road Fire Department's municipal building. That's the building just past the Mayflower Mall, and it serves as garage space for it serves as a fire station. It's where the fire trucks are located, but it also hosts a whole bunch of other community activities and facilities. It's where I went to get some of my COVID vaccines. It's just a really wonderful facility for the people of that area. And I think Victoria County could do something very similar. And that's a much better approach than going piecemeal one organization at a time. I just plead with council to show some leadership here, bring these groups together and say, how can we meet these needs in one or two facilities rather than everybody going off on their own? Obviously, I know it's a complicated problem. The library, for example, has very detailed and onerous requirements for a library building. A technical matter, I assume, about the preservation of books. The fire department obviously has really important requirements for where it's located, how easily it is to get to the places that they're most likely to have to get to, and so on and so forth. Nevertheless, nobody's doing this collective planning right now. And if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be council. It's going to be you folks, not because otherwise it doesn't seem to be happening. So that's it. I don't think I've even used my 10 minutes. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. But I think you need to knock some heads together on this.
No,
And if
yeah.
you're asking out $1 million, that's a good opportunity.
Well, thank you very much for your comments, and thank you for your frankness. We appreciate that. And so I'm not sure if anybody has any comments or questions for Parker this afternoon. If you do, I'd like you to raise your hand. Deputy Warden Daphne is and Councillor Longla. So we'll start with Deputy Warden and go to Councillor Longla. Go ahead, Larry, please.
Thanks, Warden, and thanks, Parker, for your comments. They're greatly appreciated, and I do take them to heart there. I know where you're coming from. I think when I look at it, I'm not going to talk from the English area. I'm not going to talk from the other areas of the county, but when I look at it, I've seen the presentations. I know what everyone's talking about, and what I'm hearing is Baddeck needs this. And I know we can say Victoria County needs it, and I agree it would be great, but we don't have the population, we don't have the funds to do it. This is a Baddeck thing, so I'm thinking this is something that the village of Baddeck should be taking up if they're interested in that. Because let's be honest, as far as a rink to north of Smoky, what does a rink do in Baddeck for us? I'm looking at an hour and 15-minute drive. If you're in Bay St. Lawrence, you're over 2-hour drive. Where in Baddeck, if you want to go to North Sydney, if you want to go to Port Hawkesbury, you're only 20-25 minutes away from all these facilities. We have nothing north of Smoky. So in order to get the support of north of Smoky to build such a facility that's being proposed, you're next to be impossible to get the residents on board because it does nothing for us. Okay, I shouldn't say it does nothing for us. Some people do use it, but again, because of the travel and the wide geographic area, that's why I don't feel it's a priority of our council. We did go out a couple of years ago to the public and ask them what are your priorities? This was never a priority that was brought up. Trails are more important to every one of our localities. Again, I'd love to see a 25 or 30 or $40 million investment in Victoria County, but where would you build it? If we were looking at something more extravagant, I'd say let's build it in White Point. We have land down there. How would that go over? It wouldn't go over. So let's be honest about it. When I made my decision to support the $1 million for the rink in Baddeck, it was because the $1 million was going to bring, at that time, $14 to $15 million in infrastructure into Victoria County, which I would love to see. I'm not going to go to an organization to put a lot of hard work into it that come up with an idea that had the financing, that are looking for the finance. If they want to do it and come to council, anybody can do that and come forward. And if it's reasonable, we'll support it. But again, I think if you're north of Smoky, these facilities, unless it's going to be built down here, is not going to do anything for us. So it's kind of hard. It's always been a political thing. It's always been a geographic thing. But again, it's not, of all the council to come together, I just don't think you're going to see it. And that's one of the reasons. But again, I do appreciate you bringing your points forward, and I hope you understand my points. Thanks very much.
Well, thank you. That's a valid point. And I also live quite a ways from Bedeque, and my natural direction of travel is to Sydney, not to Bedeque. That's where I generally do my, either North Sydney or Sydney. I do most of my shopping there. But I am in Bedeque fairly often, and I definitely go to the farmers market when it's available. I attend, or at least before COVID, I attended meetings of the Bedeque Freewheelers. I'm a member of the Bedeque Co-op. So it's Bedeque's remote for me, and it's not my main center, but it's obviously where a lot of county facilities are likely to be located. So I appreciate your comments, though, Councillor Daphne.
Thank you. And we're going to go to Councillor Longba, please.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I'm in agreement with what Parker says, that there's a lot of groups that have aging infrastructure, like the library, the theater, archery, community gardens, offices for the county, the farmers market, and it goes on. And when putting $1 million into something, it would be nice if it could all work together. Like if the county had a piece of land that was big enough that they could lease to all of these groups, and that you'd have all those different sources of funding then to go from. It wouldn't just be like one source of funding. It would be funding from theater and fund, like all of those organizations would work together to come up with funds, and it would be in phases. It wouldn't be all at one time. And at one time, the idea that Stephen Kerr has been coming to council for years with, last year when the rink was going to be 14 million, it was going to be, he was told, well, what you're looking at will be 30 million. And that seemed like it was like an awful lot, but now the rink thing has gone to 25 million. So 30 million isn't really that far off if you're looking at combining all of those places in one. And I think that what's good for one part of the county is good for others. I think what's happening in Ingonish is wonderful, is going to benefit Bedeque. And I think that if we have things like rock climbing and, archery and other things in Bedeque that are going to draw doctors to the area and other people that want to live, besides just having like limited things. But anyway, that's a topic for maybe later, but I am total agreement with that. The community the groups need to pull together and work together and be inclusive of each other to see the best results.
Thank you, Barb.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Anybody else, any questions or comments? I'm going to go to Councillor McNeil. Yes, sir.
Yeah, again, with these facilities too, we're talking about, it's not just the initial cost of building them. It's to maintain them afterwards. And it's great to have, organizations will start off maintaining them. And then years down the road, it'll be left to the municipality probably to maintain them. And like I said many times, I as a councillor right now don't want to be, right now a rink poor or a facility poor county in the future, and to have that burden on future generations to come. So if we're looking at what Barbara said now. Councillor Longba said now, if the facility that we were looking at for $14 million 6 months ago is now 25 million, well, the facility that Mr. Kerr came with for 30 million will now be 60 million he's looking at. And if our county can't afford we've only got 7,000 people, and sure, we're looking for development and everything. But in the future, will that development be there to pay for these facilities? That's my Opinion.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody
Right.
else?
I could just respond to that, Warden. I really appreciate your comments, Councillor McNeil, and I think it goes to something that Henry Fuller and Stephen Kerr have pointed out, that there's no business plan, there's no budget, there's no there's none of the normal planning that would go into a facility like that, and obviously the ongoing maintenance costs are a critical concern and really need to be considered as part of the capital project. So I really endorse what you said.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, again, I'm struggling a little bit today. Two things I would suggest to you, Parker. If you haven't had a chance to talk to the chair of the project, I would encourage you to do so. Get accurate and up-to-date information in regards to some of the issues you brought forward. Again, this is the rink board came to council with an update, and it is they just brought us up to speed on what's going on. So I think if people have concerns, I know that the board, the rink people have had conversations with various other organizations, including the municipality. So looking at the big picture of what could be a community center versus a rink. So that's been taken into consideration in my view. But I would just suggest, if you have any questions or to have a conversation with them to see the direction and their planning and what they have in mind for that particular site.
Well, I will follow up and do that, but I
Yeah.
would just say, you just spent $1 million on this, so I think it's not.
No, we haven't spent, we've committed $1 million if the project receives funding from the other two levels of government. We haven't spent a nickel. They haven't received a nickel. A small committee of the rink board has decided to proceed with the potential of being able to get a new community center. And they went to there was a community meeting where people were asked to dream big and come up with ideas. And, at the end of the day, it's what can be feasible and what's the best fit in that building. And, there's lots of conversation around it.
If council doesn't bring these different groups together for coordinated planning, who's going to?
Well, I think the rink board itself, the representatives, they have reached out and invited people to come in and have the conversation. But that's, I've heard you today, Parker. That's a conversation we can have as we move forward. We are going to have some discussions as we move forward over the next month or so, and I can assure you this will probably be a topic that will come up again.
Can I just add one last comment? Thank you for your comments. All these organizations at Science, I'm elected with Science 2016. We asked all of them to get together and bring a plan for everybody. The only organizations that are coming is Mr. Kerr, the library, and in that moment was a daycare, and I think, and the fire hall. And we having a conversation with all them, and that's the only organizations are asking for. And Theodore Berek, but Theodore Berek is in the Masonic Hall. So I don't see if you're interested in that, will be nice if you can start planning these organizations to get together and bring a business plan or project to council as easy as sustainable. Like the BCHA came, we can have some talks about it.
Thank you,
All
Councilor.
right, thank you, and again, thank you, Parker, for your candid comments.
Gordon, can I make just one last?
I'm going to give the last word to your counselor, Parker.
My excellent counselor.
Very glad to
Thank
hear
you.
that. Well.
Thank you. Just listening to the discussion and thinking about this the last little while, I think there's two things, and Councillor Long, but kind of alluded to the second one, is the escalation of costs, which we've talked about this, about getting construction workers. I mean, there's a whole lot of issues going to come up with that. But the other issue, I think, that hasn't really been explored very well is the site. They're boxed in pretty well on the present site. It was mentioned at the last council meeting when they gave the presentation that they hope to lose only one season of ice. Hope, it could be two, depending on construction. There's no room for expansion. So is it a possibility that they may consider choosing another site, which, and I think if we look at Mr. Kerr's plans and so on, that would be adequate to add on other facilities as time goes on, not having to build them all at once. As someone said, making a business plan for the next 5 or 10 years or so, or whatever. So I think that before any ground is turned or, concrete is laid, maybe we should kind of ask the steering group to consider another site besides the present site. I don't know if that's acceptable to them or not.
We're starting to step into areas that it's beyond our boundaries as far as, yes.
No, I think we just, if we had a discussion about it, Bruce, is what I'm saying.
Well, it'll be captured in the minutes, and that's a good point. The other thing that I just want to mention, because yes, we committed $1 million, but the $1 million was based on 12 or 14 million. And that's the ask, like if it goes to 25 million, that is not, that's what they have to deal with. And that's just another challenge of trying to get funding with this particular project. So that's what we were asked for. That's what we committed to. And, I often point to the point of view if you can look at the project as big and as busy as you want, but look at it as being a municipality with no indoor ice facility. So it's an important.
Can I make a comment also?
Sure.
So thanks for your comments, Mr. Dunham. I just want to reiterate, this group, this rink group had a problem. Their rink is not going to be able to be insured, not going to be able to be used. They came to us with a solution, and we're supporting their solution. And in the process of that, they're helping to solve our solution for our administrative offices. In that community group, there was a request for a walking track. I think a walking track was on the plans for that. So they are, and there's potential space there for the library as well. I think they said that they're in discussions with library. So they are starting to solve some of the issues that were brought forward. They may not be solving all of the issues, but at least they're trying, and they're doing the work on this. So like, kudos to this group that had an issue and they're solving their issue. So if there's funding that's available, do we really want to give up on this funding? I mean, it might be a question for the group to see if they've looked at other areas, but I'm sure there's a lot of very capable people that are on that committee that are working to solve this. I bet if you ask them, I bet I think they talked about going out to the community to give some information sessions. I bet if you ask them, they would talk about looking at other locations, and this was determined to be the best site. So.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. In fact, at the last council meeting, they said that they would be engaging the community as they move forward. So, and it's a marathon to secure this funding. It just is. You're talking, 2-3 levels of government, 6 or 7 different programs. So it's not like this is something that's coming down the pipe within the next 2-3 weeks. That's for sure. It's a lot of work, and they've undertaken it on behalf of the rink and on behalf of the community. And
it's not solving all the infrastructure issues in the community here. But I don't know if all of them can go into one space, but it's a stab in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And we also have large infrastructure issues all across the county.
Yep.
As we just discussed with MP about needing a sewer treatment plant down in Ganesh. So if you have to make a choice, which choice are you going to make?
And land is an issue, always an issue in a lot of our communities right now, and access, and especially something that size. And you want something that's serviced by water and sewer as well. So anyway, that's our discussion for this afternoon, Parker. I hope you're satisfied with our conversation, and we welcome the fact that you asked to have the conversation, and we were pleased to have the conversation with you.
Thanks very much, Warden.
All right, thank you. Take care.
We appreciate your comments. They're great. There's great things to think about.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I believe that, and I'm just trying to get my agenda up here.
We're into next meeting.
Next meetings, yeah, see it now. Next meeting is February 6th. 5th or
February 6th. Yes.
6th, and it is at 2:00 in Bedeck. Correct?
Correct.
We
Weather
did-
permitting.
weather permitting, and hopefully it'll be live, and hopefully some of us will be in better health. So with that, we did not need to go in camera. And we'd like to thank those people that presented at council today. And we would have a motion to adjourn would be in order, please. Moved by Councillor McNeil, second by Councillor Patterson. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good evening, folks.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Warden.
Have a good
Thank you all.